Hi, I'm Jay Diamond. I help stuck singles over 35 get their soulmate and couples get juicy and reconnected again so they're not living like sexless roommates. You can find me at jaydiamond.net. Tonight, I am very, very excited to speak to Isis Leeor, I've been fangirling on this lady for quite a while. She is responsible for a movement of very whole, juicy, and unapologetic women. For 20 years, she's been teaching people how to connect to the heart in their pelvis as well as in their chest. And she's got a background in psychotherapy, tantra, and hypnotherapy, which is quite a killer combo. So she offers workshops and privates and one-to-one. And her book, Feral Female, is in progress as we speak, which I am super excited about. So I'm just going to bring her into the live. On hold music, on hold music. Let's have a look. Ooh, let's try that. Oh. Pop us a little message if you're watching. Hi Shirley, hi Jane.
Yay!
I'm so happy.
I'm happy too, and I'm so excited that it worked on my phone.
So
So
am I. And it's like, no issues, no headphones needed. First time lucky. I'm impressed.
good. Oh, and how fun to find out you've been a fangirl.
Yes. Oh God, yes. So if you don't know Isis, then she writes these amazing posts, and it's like you
Hmm.
articulate. It's like I feel it in my body, and it's a knowing,
Hmm.
deep knowing. I'm like, how does she make that into actual real human words? And it's so wonderful
Hmm.
to feel that, to really feel, oh,
Hmm.
that's what I've been trying to express, or that's what I've been trying to say.
Yeah, well, it definitely comes from my body as well when I write.
Amazing. So how have
Hmm.
you been? Looks like you have lots of good things happening at the moment.
Yeah, I'm actually enrolling for a 6-month feral female program with a retreat in Spain. So that's
Okay.
that's what's waking me up in the morning.
So we'll definitely have to talk about that. And you're also got
Uh,
your book in progress as well, right? Feral
mm,
Female Book.
mm. Poco a poco, little by little. That one seems to be taking a while.
Yeah, things do tend to. Like, oh, there's the idea. This is what I'm going to do. Oh, but actually putting pen to paper, that's the step first.
Oh wow, I've got like 20 clients instead. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That'll do.
That's true. Good.
So we're going to talk tonight about the importance of receiving and
Hmm.
why it's important. And yeah, when we were talking, we were like when we're missing that receiving piece, are you even good
Hmm.
at love? Are you even good at love? What does that even mean to not be able to receive? Because there's so many, especially women that we come across, and some guys too, where they're so stuck in that mode to give, to offer, to kind of exchange
Hmm.
their energy or sex or time
Hmm.
or help or finances or anything in return for love. But the
Hmm.
receiving is
Hmm.
quite as strong. So tell me what you're feeling into that.
Well, I think that in general, women are quite emaciated in terms of, really being nourished and full and alive. And it's created problems in our romantic life. I mean, it's created problems in all aspects of our life. But one of the amazing thing about a woman in polarity with a partner is that they can bring in all this fullness and transmute it, like bring someone into that experience of fullness, that their world is very much connected to what's full, whereas someone on a masculine pole is more connected, like they say in tantra, to looking for the infinite, right? It's a different drive, and the combination of those two is what makes everything kind of explode in passion and desire, in love. And so I know growing up the way that I did, with the idea of feminism, which has kind of gotten bastardized often. Um, you know, my dad and my mom, it was both very much take care of yourself, don't lean too much. Like that's what power and safety looks like,
Yeah.
right? Go to the movie, pay for yourself, hold your own door. That surrender of any sort equals weakness. And of course, there is a surrender in receiving. You know, just like when you allow something into your body in a sexual act, you also allow an energy in.
Yeah.
You allow yourself to be fed, to be nourished. And I think there's a lot of fear around that. You know, what does that mean? What's the cost?
The cost.
And it,
The cost is
yeah.
a big one because I think so I've just finished running this 5-day challenge with 180
Mm,
women all about dating. And some of the things came up. It's like, where am I actually afraid to receive from a man? Like the points where I
yeah.
need to kind of know what's happening all the time and need to be in control and need to be the person who pays and needs to pay. It comes from this place of, well, if you
Yeah.
don't, does that person expect that I then owe them something? And the
Right.
unfortunate thing is a lot of women have had that experience. It's not that it comes from nowhere. They've had that
Mm-hmm.
experience of being made to feel like they owe something either sexually or emotionally. So it's really,
Mm.
how do we unwind that and not tar everybody with the same brush?
Mm. Yeah, and also change our own internal paradigm. You know, I remember one of the ways I learned about receiving as there was a yoga teacher in California, and my then husband just loved giving to her. And he said, I just love giving to this woman because she's so ecstatic in how she receives. She's just like, yum, amazing. And she's throwing the packaging. And he's like, I get so much from her joy. It's already a full meal.
Yeah,
And that there's other ways of receiving that aren't trade.
yeah,
They're actually allowing ourselves to show our pleasure and to say thank you and really take it in and expect like that's enough.
yeah. And I think that's the
That was
thing,
the
isn't it?
exchange.
Really giving permission, like that is enough. There's
Mm,
so many women that I encounter that are constantly like,
mm,
it's not enough actually, which comes from this place of I'm not enough. Like my essence isn't
yeah,
enough, and I need to give you
right,
something to try and convince you that I am enough. And
right.
what is it that I can do extra or more?
Right. And I think that's part of this emaciation that we're talking about is, you know, we're so starved, right? We've learned how to starve ourselves throughout our day. Like anything that would actually nourish us is luxury, right?
Yeah,
As opposed to something like in a very masculine model of the world, as opposed to something that's actually just necessary to our day. Beauty, you know, sensuality, movement, feeling, breath, you know, things that make us feel alive. And so if we had those things, if we could really ground into our body and our fullness, maybe there would be less of a pull to get that affirmation from someone else,
mm.
right? Because I think we're looking of like, am I okay? Am I lovable? Because we need so much because we're exhausted and malnourished,
And empty.
right? Right, as opposed to overflowing from that space where it's like, yes, yum, enjoy, you're welcome. You know?
You're welcome. Sharing my joy. And that's why I love this feeling about being
Mm,
unapologetic. Like, what does it mean to be
yeah.
an unapologetic woman? What does it mean to give yourself permission and really allow
Mm,
yourself to be full and to feel yourself? And what does that mean? And like, how can we
yeah.
look at the places where we starve ourselves, even if that's of the self-care, the movement, the dance, the
Yeah.
music, the food is a big one in the West, where we, withhold with the food and how the
Mm,
body should look, and then how the hair should
mm,
look, and then the games that people start to play with the dating, and then in the relationship, there's like, just like,
hmm.
where do I need to control, fix, contain to make myself so nice and presentable? And
Yeah.
actually, both sides don't win with that model.
Yeah. And I think that in general, that the masculine is starving
Yeah.
for the fullness of the feminine. And I
Mhm.
think the way they've been conditioned to receive it is through sex. And so I think that men often don't know what they're really wanting when they're trying to get you in bed. I think they're wanting that experience of fullness, that experience of aliveness. And there's different ways to connect, and they just, everywhere they look, it's like, you want to feel alive, fuck someone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so there's confusion on both sides, right? So there's an opportunity to show a different model,
For
right? To
sure.
say, yeah,
You know,
let's have sex, but while we're eating, like, let's really connect in a way that you feel it all the way down.
yeah, this
Yeah.
something that was so
Yeah.
beautiful for me in my expansion, in my
Mm.
long journey of opening and deepening and healing was
Mm.
to let the emotion go all the way through. And we're so
Yeah.
we kind of, we have a kindness around that when it's a joyful emotion, when it's a light
Mm.
emotion, when it's, when it's
Mm.
when it's the positive. Yet the potency can be also so strongly found in the darkness, the potency and the
Mm.
freedom.
Darkness.
Yeah, yeah. The potency is like, to come all the way
Mm.
into that feeling and let it move all the way through. Can you feel that jealousy
Mm.
all the way through
Mm.
instead of fighting it all the time? You don't have to do anything about it, but are you able to actually be in your body and to breathe through it and to feel it fully and then just let it go?
Mm. Mm. Or transmute it or get to the heart of it. I had a workshop where I was asking people to speak about their jealousy and the things that were irking them, like, you don't take out the dishes, from a place that was connected to their sexuality. And it came out as like, it came out in this really dirty, saucy, like, when you don't take out the dishes, like, I just want to take you and bend you over and just, like, and everyone's like, and there's this feeling of like, I'm irritated because I want you. I'm sad or jealous because I feel this other thing, and let me show you how that feels. And I think that's, when we're talking about all the ways of, like, the body, all these shoulds that keep us contained and emaciated and small and starving for breath and starving for pleasure, right? That there can't be enough of a receiving to actually show, give that transmission of energy to someone else.
Why do you think that's so important to have and to be able to go to that place of being in full receiving so that you can be fully open?
Mm. Well, first of all, and I'm
Well,
sure I'm sure, I'm sure you see this all the time, is that most of us are half alive,
yeah.
right? And we're spending so much time in the pretense of love that there's never real love, right?
Oh,
Like, I've known so many couples who've been together, 20 years, and there's no real intimacy. Like, they still, fart in the bathroom by themselves, or like are constantly apologizing, and anything that feels like maybe it's not going to fit nicely, they just start to compartmentalize it until there's not really much there, right? Or they push things down,
yeah.
right? So instead of getting angry and being like, oh my God, in this moment, like, I just want to eviscerate you and then throw you on the bed, like that, it doesn't get to move,
No, then it gets stuck.
right? It gets stuck. So being able to receive, having enough fullness, to be able to show up, right? Of course, that's going to affect our work. It's going to affect how we are with our children. It's going to affect how we are with our partners. I mean, we're operating on 10% battery.
Do you know what's really interesting is I feel like a lot of women, when they think about showing up, it comes from
Mm,
a set of giving rather than receiving. It's like if I show
yeah,
up, then I
yeah,
do. It's like I'm in the doing place. It's the place where I speak and I get my needs met and I da 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 da, which is
right,
just half of the story because it's only half of the
right.
living life, isn't it?
Right. And I think that's part of what's gotten really confused, as women are thinking, what does power look like as a woman? And then we're following a masculine model, And then a lot of my work with couples, and maybe you have this experience, is trying to rebalance that polarity where the woman is feeling resentful and frustrated because she's behaving from a very masculine place, and it's coming from a lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, the more we try to take over, the more we show our man that we don't trust him, the more he becomes less trustworthy, and he probably goes more into the feminine pole, right, and disconnects from his sexuality, right? And so things get so switched around that it kills the passion, it kills the juice, because both people aren't behaving, most of the time from their natural essence. And so bringing the woman back into her heart, into her openness, into her longing, and the man back into his power and the rightness of who he is in his body, and encouraging him to take up that space and learn how to ground, then suddenly, like, the room heats up. Like literally, people are there just suddenly, like, in 5 minutes, they're like sweating and drooling. They're like, oh my God, I've never seen my partner this way, right? And the only thing that's happening is the woman is finally saying, like, fuck it, like,
Yeah.
I can't keep it together. And the man is like,
Yeah.
thank God. Thank God. I've been waiting.
I thought you never would.
Right. I've been waiting for an opportunity to actually take up some space without you fucking filling all of it.
Yeah.
Right? To show
Yeah.
my gifts.
So true. It's such a big thing with some couples, and I think the scary part sometimes is that in the beginning of that journey, you have to allow your partner the space, and that means
Yeah.
sometimes there's a gap, and that means
Yeah.
sometimes
And
things don't get done on your time frame or in the way that you want them to be done, but they probably will get done.
right.
And you have to be in that space of like such uncomfortability, if that's even a word,
Yeah.
to to
Yeah.
allow that space to occur.
Right. And to also allow him to fail. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's been moments with, I remember with one partner, I wasn't sure how trustworthy he was. And I thought, I'm going to trust through him into life.
Wow.
So I'm still going to relax, and I'm going to relax open. I'm going to let him fail, and I'm going to know that something is still holding me.
Oh my, that's so powerful. I wish every woman could hold that so deep in a body to have
It's a practice, isn't it?
it's a practice. It's a real practice,
Yeah.
especially I think for people who've had more difficult childhoods or more difficult experiences
Yeah.
where they've had trust broken, where they've had to be in control to make everything move the way they need it to, so that they're always keeping themselves
Mm-hmm.
safe. The practice of that kind of surrender, where you actually,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually repairing your relationship with life. Like that's what I see,
Exactly.
repairing your
Exactly.
relationship with life again, to really trust that somehow the universe
Yeah.
does have my back. God does have my back, even if it doesn't look like it
Right.
on the outside, and this particular thing with this particular person hasn't worked. That there is such a
Right.
deeper intelligence available that we're moving through, that we're moving with. And if I can't trust that person, I can trust life.
Exactly. Exactly. And also to create, which I know is a big wound in the Western world, to create community where something's got us and it's not all on the person that we're playing with.
Yeah.
Because the person, when you're in romantic relationship, you're both gonna have like your deepest stuff come up.
Oh yeah.
And so there has to be structures holding you, whether it's surrendering all the way into life and doing that bigger, or it's surrendering into the people around you and knowing that they've got you, right? And at the end of the day, you're held, and your practice is to learn how to be held and how to be full and how to let everything move through everything, right? Like just like an animal, my cat came in after getting lost, and she sat there and she shook for 45 minutes
Oh.
because she was moving the fear out of her body, and then she reset. She had to move it, right? And I think as women, this is part of this process of receiving support, is being visible, having the courage to be visible in a society that is like containment and being independent is the way.
Yeah.
And we're like, actually what I need is to not be contained and to have support.
Yeah.
And that's where I thrive. But it's completely counterculture.
And we have to create our own pictures around that, you know, our own circles,
Exactly.
our own places where we can give permission to feel
Right.
all the way through and just
Right.
have it witnessed, you know, and
Right.
not judged and not corrected. And maybe there's someone in that circle who's been through what you've been through. Maybe they can assist you in some way. But, you know, when we have that kind of support, but I feel like when it comes to what I see anyway, a lot, when it comes to relationship, people are so reluctant. It takes them such a long time to reach out. It's almost like when they're at the very, very, very end of the tether, then they'll really commit to a process. They might kind of skirt around the edges of watching or listening or downloading a free thing and still maintain this kind of happy, uncontent, mediocre for as long as we can stand until something really bad happens, and then they'll be catapulted into action to find that support or help or, you know, sense of community, because it's like there's such a, whereas people are very happy to go on career development, they'll pay for a course,
Right.
they'll pay 10
Exactly.
grand and not even think about, you know, for career coaching, because that's going to make me money, that's going to give me accolades, that's going to get me, you know, where I want to be here. And then their personal life can still be a mess. But it's like, until I've become successful, let's say, then I'll look at my relationships. And meanwhile, it's like so far gone. It takes such a long time to pull it back and the behaviors back, and how far out of whack you've gone, especially with women with that tendency to kind of overwork. Their adrenals are gone, mashed up, they're exhausted, they're in bad habits, and then they're so resentful, and I understand why.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that's a great point. And it's a conversation I have a lot too, right? Our core longing is to love and be loved, and yet we're willing to put our time and attention into every other thing except learning how to actually do that. Right? Like that's just gonna be innate. And I mean, think of the amount of shit that's like, you know, we're like covered and dirt and weeds, and we're just like, that's cool,
fine,
I'll just know. And I'm like, well, maybe you'll just know if we could clean that off of you.
Like, I can see you,
right? Right.
That's all that's needed.
And then I see people get pissed of like, well, why isn't my partner here? And I'm like, they can't see you through all the dirt and the weeds.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, like.
Yeah. You just learn, like, it's just so much fairy tale thinking around that it should just happen, and then the resentment, like, why is it not just happening just for me? It just happens for this person, it just happens for that person. I'm not a special case, therefore. And it's like, you know, I'm not gonna discuss it, but it's like, well, were we ever given a decent sex education that was pleasure based? Were we ever given a great education about healthy, loving relationships, what that looks like, what kind of skills you need, what kind of communication, what boundaries? Like, no, everyone's just going about the business, trying the best, banging up against each other, and just trying to work it out along the way. There's no shame in really wanting to get super clear and like take a wash, take off the weeds, like get in the bath, start again, and say, hey, like I want to start from a clear place.
Right. And in fact, I mean, I have this conversation often with people I'm dating. It's very similar where I'm like, okay, you know, think of the resources. If you don't know something in your work, you go find out how to do it, or you connect with a resource that can teach you how to do it. And yet here are all these places that you're bumping into walls, and it's not that you're bad. It's just that you literally don't know a different way. And so if that was happening at your work, what would you do?
Yeah.
Right? Like it's very simple. If you take all the emotional charge out of it, it's just common sense. if you're not succeeding at something, like, get help.
Yeah. It's all right.
Period.
One thing I really noticed when I started to up level and move into this place of receiving, and I'm really getting conscious. I remember being in an all-night ceremony once, and we were like praying through the night, and at one point I was sat on this little skinny ass cushion, and my back was hurting because my back isn't always great, and my bum was hurting, and for about 10 minutes in my head I was thinking, oh, my back's hurting. I was moving. 10 minutes later, I'm still moving around. Like, it was like this epiphany happened. And it was like, you do know you can ask for another pillow.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you could
Yeah.
find yourself somehow, some way.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to interrupt what people
Yeah.
were doing. I didn't want to interfere. What's the word? I didn't want to put anyone else out. And that was like the biggest
Mm.
joy of my life. And it's like, all of a sudden, over
Mm.
this cushion, I had this huge
Mm.
enlightening experience of like how much of my behavior or lack of asking comes from, and
Mm.
therefore lack of receiving, lack of support, comes from not
Mm.
actually being able to speak what my needs are. Very simple shit, like having a cushion. It's like, it's allowed. You can
Yeah.
ask.
Yeah.
Someone says no, nobody's gonna die. Like, your back's hurting. Go and get a
Yeah.
cushion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but I can relate to that. And when you said, I think a lot of women can, when you said that piece about being a burden, I was like, wow, that just felt so culturally charged. Right? Like it just feels like as a woman, you're supposed to shut up and that's and be an object for giving. Like that's your role. Almost like that's your genetic role.
Yeah,
And if you don't do that, that somehow you're going you're going against the current and you're going to be bad and unlovable.
mm,
And think about how this has affected our sex lives. I mean, even as someone who's relatively empowered and has been working with this stuff for a long time, like I can feel like some like deep fear around like, does my pleasure matter as much, even if it takes longer?
yeah.
Is it okay to say, actually, my clitoris is over here?
Up a
These
bit,
things,
left a
right?
bit.
Without apology.
Yeah,
And is it okay even to really know my own body,
mm,
knowing that if I have the experience and background that I do, and somebody has been informed by porn, that we're probably really going to miss each other,
yeah.
right? Is that going to be emasculating somehow?
It's so
Right?
interesting, and
Yeah.
so what's wonderful about the time that we're in is and it's only a little,
Mm.
but it's happening, it's growing wonderfully, is how many more conversations that we're having like this, where we're giving
Yeah.
permission to have that conversation. We're giving the words to say, okay, so this is
Yeah.
how you feel, and your clitoris is clearly not in that direction. What do you need to do to help that guy out? So,
Yeah.
so that he's giving you the pleasure that he thinks he's giving you and wants to.
Mm.
And if someone doesn't want
Right.
to, what makes you think you have to stay there? You don't. If
Well,
someone's
yeah, right.
really not interested in
Exactly.
you and they're only interested in themselves, you are under no
Hmm.
obligation, and you can change your mind at any time. And I just find it incredible how long it's taken to start to have these conversations. I remember being like 18, 17, 19, talking to friends about this very, very thing and saying,
Mm.
did you say something? Did you explain it? Like,
Right.
you only
Right.
allowed to have pleasure. Like, if he didn't give you an orgasm, did you think about giving yourself one? And they would just look at me like I had four heads, four green
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah.
Don't be so
Yeah.
ridiculous. And I remember, like, growing
Mm.
up, I just thought I must just be a very strange cookie because I want to have that kind of
Mm.
intimacy. But at that time, I remember that, I mean, that's like 20 years ago, many
Mm.
men weren't ready to receive it. We weren't in that kind of place unless they were old, probably older. But at my
Yeah.
age group, it was like, well,
Yeah.
this is what you're going to get. And that's
Right.
it.
Right. Right. If you want, if you have, if you're reaching to have, you're selfish,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to pleasure. And yet the irony, there's such grief in that, I mean, men chemically respond to like the feedback, like
Mm.
the facial features, right? That like they get like a chemical hit off of it. And so even, I had a sex worker friend who was talking about how the people who were paying her for sex wanted to give her pleasure.
Yeah.
And it was really important to them, for their pleasure. And so I think we've gotten really wounded and confused around what actually gives a partner pleasure,
Yeah.
right? That actually our fullness and our joy and our facial expressions and our ability to let go is a big part of what gives them pleasure. It's an integral part. And then when we hold that back because we're afraid of being too much or being a burden or asking for too much, we're not coming halfway.
Yeah. How amazing
We're the
it
ones
is
not showing up.
to be with someone in a fully turned on, unapologetic state, to just be able
Mm,
to
mm,
share that kind of
mm,
juice when you can
mm,
just fully be in your body and in your pleasure. And talking about receiving, that's what I was trying to say
mm,
going down the road before, is like the first times when I started to have full body orgasm was
mm.
from this place of learning to receive, of just like
Yes.
softening my body during sex, because I realized that I was
Mm,
tight, and I was, my shoulder was
mm-hmm,
deforming. I was trying to be sexy. I
mm-hmm,
wanted to please them more than I wanted to please
mm-hmm. Yeah,
myself. Then I just went
yeah,
into like, okay, just relax my body, relax my pussy, relax
right,
everything,
right,
and really
right.
receive this man. That's when magic started to happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Same. And I notice even now I go into that space with a new partner where I'm just like all of this conditioning gets triggered and I have to be like, okay, breathe, relax. And there's a moment where I can kind of like descend down to meet him, whether it's his penis, his tongue, his finger, like actually make that connect. And it takes longer than I think it should.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But but when it happens, there's like something ignites, and it is from that place of like deeply, deeply softening and getting very yin as opposed to trying to match the yang,
yeah, yeah.
right? It's the opposite of porn,
Yeah, it's so
right? Mm-hmm.
and it's like, the lovers that I've had when I've been in that experience,
Mm.
they don't even have to say, and they often would say, but their experience of sex in that kind of experience is
Mm.
just like amazing for them. I had remember one lover,
Mm.
I've never seen a woman smile during sex like that. Like, I was like, wow, what do you
Yeah,
mean that she's never,
yeah.
any woman you've been with, and this is a good looking man, so he's had a few others, I imagine. And it's like, they're not smiling.
Mm.
It's like, if your body's like full of that pleasure, like why would there not be a smile at
Mm.
some point, And he was like, wow, it was really lovely to see. Like, it was so amazing to see that again, because it's having that feedback of
Mm.
the pure pleasure without shame, without trying to,
Right.
match his energy of just being fully inside of mine.
Right. Right. And I want to add in another dimension of this too is when we're full, what comes out isn't only joy.
Oh yes.
Right. And I think that's another thing of like if I allow myself to fully be here, what's gonna happen? Like I mean I've heard things that I didn't even know existed, like the fanny farts or like things
Look at
people are
you.
afraid of. No, things people are afraid of that I'm like, I didn't even know this was a problem,
Right.
like fat shaking or sweat in the wrong moment, or
Mm.
like, of course you're gonna fart. Of course there's gonna be weird noises. Like
Fix that.
it's not gonna, yeah, yeah. Right. And there has to be also us creating this space of comfort that I think is a relief for men too, to just be like, look, all of these things are going to happen, and I'm probably going to make a weird noise at some point, and you know what? I might cry. And if I let go that deeply and then I sob, like that's a compliment. Like
Yeah.
you've reached deep. Right. You know, or like if you have a moment where like you're surrendering and you're full and like it hits some part of you that feels angry and you want to engage that, and then it hits a part of you that feels joy or play, you know, to be able to ride that dance, it really takes so much eradication of all this smallness, all this idea of like this is what feminine is. Feminine
Mhm.
is shut
Mhm.
up, be tiny, sit in the corner and be good and like, you know, don't have any body functions.
We've been had.
Right.
We've totally been had when it comes to like what it is to be
Yeah.
feminine, this all female, this kind of very maiden, you know,
Mm,
archetype, when there's just like the
mm,
fullness of priestess and crone and like the such
mm,
depth and power and what that looks
mm,
like, and
mm,
all of it is woman,
mm,
all of it is feminine.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And how beautiful it
Yeah,
is
and
when a woman gets to start to own all of those places, because by God,
right,
then she becomes
right,
a force, you know, and
right,
aliveness starts to rise then.
right. And I think the work that we're doing, I mean, it's the women giving other women the fuck yes. Because a lot of the men, they need that permission too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been wounded and socialized and just filled with crap, and they're really confused about what's okay and what they should want, what their
Um,
options are. Like they've never seen a woman with that capacity. They have no idea how to meet that, and so they do the things they know how to do. Right? Because that they pretend because their partners have been pretending, and they think this is it.
yeah.
Right? And so it's us saying like, hey, let's make that like little small thing a piñata and beat the shit out of it and be like, yeah, you go, girl, go growl at him, go do it, you know, like like whatever it is, and that shows you're receiving your fullness. Like take the risk because we got you.
Amazing. I really feel like it also, when you can touch that place, let me speak for myself. When I can touch the
Mm,
place in me and I can go to those depths and I can really tell the truth on myself, when I can really feel underneath the surface of the anger or the
mm,
frustration or the
mm.
feeling of disconnect, when I'm able to drop into that place, it opens a place for the man that I'm with by
Yeah.
transmission. It gives him a place of safety,
Yes.
like, you know, I have not got it all together. I'd love that to be the case,
Yeah.
but I don't. And it's also like, and you don't need to either. Like we're both human
Right.
doing humanness, you know, yes, we are divine
Right.
beings and we're right here incarnated into a human life. And so when I can open myself in that place, it gives such permission and such like a relief that we can both be
Yeah.
human as well.
Yeah. Plus, it's not sexy to have it all together, especially as a woman. Like our bodies were built to receive.
Mm.
We were built for that. We were built to take in, to be nourished, to be so full that we pour out.
And I
Right?
think,
So if you
cool.
when you have it together, it means you're sealed off.
Mm. So interesting, because I feel that there's so much fear
Yeah.
around not having it together, or appearing to not having it together, or
Yeah.
even being weak unto yourself, never mind anybody else, but like
Yeah.
I have to be strong for me because of that
Right.
feeling of lack of support.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where those of us, you know, like when I'm doing the women's group, it's creating tribe. So there is support and it's less fragile,
Yeah.
right? You know, again, coming back from this idea of independence to interdependence
Tell us
and being
about the
like,
retreat.
ah, oops.
Talking about the
I got excited and ripped my earbud out.
Look,
So it's working, you know, it's working with a lot of these things kind of from the ground up about giving permission, about having experiential homework where you go out into the world, about creating tribe, about exploring the archetype of the good girl and Wonder Woman and then breaking up with them. And also reveling in our haunches, getting into the animal body and allowing ourselves to actually be as we are and to see the power and the allure of that, with the support of other women, as opposed to like all the things we've been taught, right? Because I think it takes a certain amount of holding and prodding, like, to actually see like, this doesn't just feel sexier, it is sexier.
Yeah.
And it attracts a different caliber of partner. Like, where we're not always trying to safeguard this fragile little boy, we're actually with a man who's just like, bring it.
Yeah, and how amazing that is. Oh my God, the experience that is to kind of have fully receive, like, yeah.
Yes.
Give me some of that. Because he can.
And then say more.
So sexy. Okay.
Right. And it's divided into private sessions with me, a group experience where we meet twice a month. So it's not overwhelming, but it's a secure container. And then also a retreat in Spain. So yes, and I'm interviewing now, and there's a few spots. So if anyone's interested,
so we'll put
message me
in the comments. If you put that in afterwards in the comments so that people can find out. When will the retreat be in Spain?
Probably in March. I'm going to do a poll.
Okay.
So yeah, and it's a small group of 10 women, so there's going to be a lot of big changes going on.
So I'm just about to launch this course called Cherish, which is getting women soulmate ready in October. But this Sunday I'm doing just like a small 1 hour webinar, which is all about codependency, actually, and that is very much around and I just realized today this thing where we can't receive, where we're like constantly sacrificing and giving and trading and being exhausted in relationship because we think we have to give and we don't feel the support. So I'll put a link for that in the comments as well for anyone who's interested in that. And guys are welcome. It's not just a women only thing, because a lot of guys experience that as well, where they've been given a healthy pattern of receiving. It's actually sexually it can be very hard for them to receive. Emotionally it can be hard for them to receive in an intimate space, in a workspace. When someone says good job, great, but like deeper than that, guys really struggle with really being seen in their heart, and it's such beautiful when they allow that to happen.
What gorgeous work you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you for inviting me into this space to have this conversation. I really, it's exciting.
Absolutely, it's lush, and Spain in March, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. One influence with the feral female herself is life changing, if nothing else. Really exciting times.
So are we at time? I haven't been watching it all.
Neither have I, but I'm sure we are. So if you please put a link in the comments so that you can chat to people about the course and and the retreat and the one-to-one work that you're doing, because I'm sure so many people will love to have you as a mentor in that state of pure unapologetic embodiment. So special.
Good. And
thank you for everything that you do.
Likewise.
Good night, Julia.
Ciao.